Hello my friends, Mike here, and today we are going to take a look at this sample library called Afflatus Brass by Stress of Sampling, which is one of my personal favorite sample library developers. But instead of a boring preset browsing review, I will actually show you how I used Afflatus Brass in various instances and various sounds in this actual complete production, which is a Viking track called Ragnarök, which is basically the Norse mythology apocalypse, end of the world. So let's take a listen to it in action, and here I use some other libraries from Stress of Sampling, like the Requires, Afflatus Strings, and so on, and a couple of more sounds, but it's mainly Stress of Sampling. Even the percussion is Stress of Sampling. So let's start by playing this track, and then I will dive in and show you some of the sounds I used and how. Now let me show you what sounds I used and how in this particular production. So the first one here from Afflatus is Barbarian Brass Performance Patch, and it's very deep sounding. I played it low in octaves like this. I mean, listen to this sound, and just marking these root notes, sparse like this, but it sounds very epic in the track. And that is of course layered with some other sounds. I have this Gjallarhorn from another library, and I have my own voices, but basically it's mainly Afflatus Brass. You can see it here. If we go down, I have starting with what I call dark ambient pad. It's actually pad because it's not only a standard brass patches in this library. Here you get a sound design category basically, and that sounds like this. I played it low dynamic, just like that. But it adds on top of the Gjallarhorn, for example, here. I also have they also have a really cool performance style patches, sound design. This is the Chosen One trombone swells. I mean, it's the Chosen Ones. You might recognize which movie this is from. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? That's a really cool swell with a really brassy feel, which sounds great in the mix. I also have some ambiences like fire and background ambience and stuff like that. My own vocals here. But then we get to the lower part. So we have basses are actually from Afflatus strings. Right? And I'm putting some EQ and so on here. But in the mix, this is how it sounds. And on top of that, I have this Afflatus brass 2 tubas. Not one. Usually you have only one. But they actually include 2 patches, 1 tuba solo and 2 tubas legato, like this. Very, very powerful. And together with the string basses. This is the deep power. Then I have another one, just because I wanted to add even more fat and depth in the low end, which is a sound design patch from the library called, just want to mark that, It Lives Among Us. I mean, this is a deep sounding brass patch. I mean, I'm played here. It's not even the lowest. With this swell, and now if I play all that together, I mean, the entire bass parts. I mean, you can feel the power, like if you have your speakers on, you feel the bass in your chest and still have this low growly brass sound from the tubas here and this sound design patch. Then I have another one here called 2 horns. So this is really cool. If I go into the library view, whoops, here you can see they have 2 horns here and 4 horns, but also, let's see, solos in the other category. So you have a solo horn. So they have solos for instruments, and then especially for the horns, I mean, composers, we all love the French horns. So you have solo, 2 and 4, and that actually creates a lot of variation and choice for you as a composer. So this I play just marking the ones together with the Gjallarhorn here, just layering up with some depth from playing the 2 horns like that. And then, let's see, I don't remember. Yeah, I'm playing actually the melody in the lower range. Or semi-lower. Oh, okay, so it's what the mid-range. I mean, I have that layered on some instruments. Like this Imperial Brass. No, Iceberg. Why did I call it? Oh, it comes later. Iceberg patch, another really cool sound design type brass patch. And you can hear they have some on the initial attack. They have some percussion on top of it here. And I'm playing Marcato on top of the 2 horns. I just want to make it super fat in the mix. And then I have this Imperial Brass higher up in range. Right? And this Phantom Brass, so this is the lead melody in the chorus, which is very high. And that I chose to, as you can see, the chorus starts here, but I chose to introduce it here. So the first 8 bars here in the chorus without it, because it goes higher in range. And that has that beautiful legato. I mean, listen to that again. So I chose to have legato only there, not on... You don't want to have legato on all notes, because, especially in an epic track, you want to have that Marcato attack, so that's why I layered all these performance patches, the 2 horns, Iceberg, Brass, and the imperial brass, which has more of an attack as so it's a pause between the notes mainly, and then I layered that legato when I need it. So all together now, let's see, those playing the melody. And then when the legato comes, it really takes the expression up a level, so if you choose wisely where you use it, I think that is better. And then I layer some violas from Afflatus strings, one of my favorite string libraries. So I'm super happy that they have continued this series, and I really hope they will do the woodwinds and even the percussion to complete the series. Perhaps even Afflatus choirs, why not? And all those together now playing the melody. I mean, it really makes it super big. And then the final 8 bars here, I actually added the trumpets. Let's see, the 3 trumpets playing in tenuto to get a bit of a marking. Not as marked as marcato, but still. It sounds like this in the mix. Or solo. Just to add some final crescendo, you know, the climax on the chorus. Now that takes us to, well, we'll take the intro, and just to show you the other Afflatus libraries I use. So I'm using the choir here, it's the choir essentials, men performance. In low. I wanted the basses here. Also in the chorus. I think Stress of Sampling has the best marcato, you know, powerful choir sounds. There are other choirs that can do the smooth ahs and ohs, but for marcatos and, you know, the really powerful choir sound, the Stress of Sampling choirs, you know, choir essentials, storm choir, Wotan, and so on are amazing. And this is in the bridge here, and I'm using some soft viola here from Afflatus strings, right? Together with this dark ambient pad, again from Afflatus brass. Right? But I also have, they also have an amazing children choir in Choir Essentials. Because I wanted to have that, you know, contrast between the super epic, powerful sounds and then this sad, melancholic part, and I like using children's choirs for that. And that way I reintroduce some of these ambiences, like fire ambiences, monster roar. Because I have space in the mix. I dropped it in the chorus. But in here it makes sense. Also, a high strings patch, Christmas strings legato, because this is one of the things I love about the Afflatus series is you get the bread and butter, but you also get all these, you know, theme-based patches, which is much more inspiring. You pick up and play these patches, and it just works. So this is laid like 6 violas, 4 cellos, and an alto sax in one single preset in legato. So those were the patches I used, mainly Afflatus brass, but also Afflatus strings and some of the Stress of choirs. But now we can take a look in the actual interface and see what you get with this amazing orchestral brass library. Alright, so here we have Afflatus brass, the user interface in Contact. And let's quickly go through what you get with this library, but I will not be playing all these presets, just sound demonstrations, because there are other videos doing that, and frankly I find those kinds of reviews boring. Instead, I will focus on what features you get, the design of the instruments, how to use it, and why I personally love this series so much. So if you take a look at the folders here, you get ensembles, solos, curated ensembles, experimental, and performance instruments. So the ensembles are, you can play as multi-instruments, meaning all the key switches here, and you get the standard articulations. So this is the two horns. You get the, let's see, sustain with legato. That is one feature I love. It's baked in the same articulation, so you can play both legato and play two notes at the same time, so polyphonic on the same preset. We'll get back to that later. Then you get the flutter tongue, staccato, staccatissimo, repetitions, let's see, this one is accent sustain with a crescendo. Okay, crescendo comes when I release the notes. I didn't use that. Sustain with crescendo. So, interesting, when you release it. Half tone thrill. Nice. And the whole tone thrill. So we will get back to the articulations later. Just let me show you what you get. So, for each of the instruments, horns, tubas, trombones, trumpets, you get two horn patches here in the multi. So 2 horns and 4 horns. Plus this extra bass, trombone, cimbasso, and tuba. Let's take a listen to that because it sounds super massive. But the reason I think they chose to have more horns instruments, 2 horns and 4 horns, and solo horn is because it's the instrument we all love the most in the brass section. Let's be honest. All composers love the French horn. And this is a really cool patch because it's a bass brass patch, but it's not only tubas. Tubas alone have this more mellow depth, but with the cimbasso and bass trombone, and I mean this is the normal articulation, the sustain and legato. You can even play sort of marcato with this patch. So it's the best performance articulation I found in any sample library is Stress of Samplings, the main articulation where they have sustain, legato, and even polyphonically. So let's play octaves. Marcato as well. So that's the first category. Then you get mutes for all the same. So you have mutes for horns, mutes for let's say 4 horn mutes. So you have more options basically. So you have the standard for all, and then mutes for all the multi instruments. So sections, 2 horns, 4 horns, and so on. So this is 4 horns mutes. It has a very different style of sound. So let's play harmonically. And let me now start to demonstrate the amazing features. One of them is this performance articulation. The first articulation you load that loads default. You can play sustains polyphonically. You can legato. Sounds a bit different on the mutes. And then you can even play polyphonic legato. That is probably my favorite feature in this series. Polyphonic legato. I wish more developers did that. So you get the mute, and you also get solo instruments because some people don't like using articulation mappings and so on, articulation switching. So you can load up only the 2 horns legato, for example. And of course, it's much less memory, you will see. It's quite a lot of memory actually. Maybe it's because it's polyphonic legato. Let's do only staccatos, for example. So you can have one track only playing the staccatos. As you can see, only 200 megabytes. Actually, staccato is kind of a long sound because it has some release. Let's try the repetitions. So you can have that as a kind of a drive energy thing. Right? So you get all those in single instruments. So they give you a lot of choice in this series. So that are ensembles, multi-instruments, which are articulations, single instruments here. Right? And you get, it goes on, it's, yeah, this is why it's a flagship brass library. You get 2 horns, and then you get mutes for them, and also stopped horns. So let's just try, you know, flutter tongue, 2 horns stopped. You start to really realize how much variation you get. That's just one patch. So you get multi-instruments, single instruments, then you get solos, because these were ensembles, remember? 2 and 4. You get so you get solo bass trombone, cimbasso, French horn, tenor trombone, trumpet, and tuba. So this is, I love that they included this cimbasso. Actually, let's try that. Not many brass libraries have a cimbasso, which is basically a very deep bass trombone, basically, with a lot of brassy quality. Let's see, where we have it here. Layers very well with the tuba or the bass trombones. And you can play polyphonic legato. I mean, this kind of thing. The low brassy growl, it's basically the raw power of orchestral music. Low brass. And with this polyphonic legato, and you can even do... Let's increase the velocity dynamics. And then I did a polyphonic legato there at the end of the phrase without using any key switches. That's why these performance patches are so amazing. But it doesn't stop there. It goes to curated ensembles. I actually used Barbarian brass in that track, as you heard. I also use Iceberg brass and Imperial brass, but these are theme-based brass. So let's do the Hunter brass and try that one, because they have a specific sound, a specific layering. Okay, so you can hear directly this is accents with percussion in it. So you can have that, imagine this. And then add like a bass trombones or something. So I love just using these ones. Let's use noir brass as well. Let's see if I imagine that is not epic. So let's see what we have here. You can see it's mapping here, and you also get articulation on some of these patches, even though it's theme-based. Okay, so you hear this is more spy theme. It's just your creative inspiration is immediately triggered. Then you have the experimentals. You have It Lives Among Us, which was this deep thing, dark ambient pad, which was used in this track. Let's try Mega Brass as well, because why not? I love the name. I imagine this is super epic. And see what it sounds like. Let's see if it loads up. Contact, please load it. Okay. Probably because I have recorded full HD and have the track in full setting with mastering chain and everything. Okay, so here we have the Mega Brass. Okay, this one takes... Okay, it was because it's 4.7 gigabytes. I'm not sure why it... If this is bug here, it doesn't show the mappings like it usually does. Or probably it might not even have any articulations, this patch. I'm not sure, but... I mean, this could layer well just for the leading melody. Let's see if I can... There's polyphonic legato on this one too! So let's play bass plus melody. Okay, I see it stops there, so it's a bass, more of a low brass patch. I would probably use this, but I'm not sure. 4.7 gigabytes. That was a lot, to be honest. Then they have these curated performance instruments, so curated Barbarian Brass Performance, Phantom Brass, Ensemble Performance patches, and Solo Performance patches. I'm not sure. We take one of these. So Solo French Horn Performance. Let's see how big these are. And I imagine these don't have any articulation mappings, just one performance patch. Yeah. So that way they get lower. It's still quite a lot of memory because this is a flagship super big brass library, but then you get articulation. Okay, so staccato, sustain, and legato. I believe this is in the same patch. Yeah, so you can play. That you could not play with a performance legato patch because it's staccato when I trigger it. Let's try another one, just because we can. I mean, you can dive as deep as you want with this brass library, but you can still just use it as a bread and butter flagship orchestral brass library with the normal patches if you prefer. Let's do Tuba's performance patch. Try that one. I will probably use this one a lot because only legato, polyphonic legato, marcato, and staccato in one patch is brilliant. No key switching. Thank you, Stress of Sampling, for including this. This is just for performance, for player-based composers like myself. Just want to load up something and play. I mean, being able to do this without key switching. Let's see. Round robin reset. What's this? Breath. Okay. Let's see. We can add some breaths. I rarely do that. I should probably do that more often. Now, we've gone through basically layout of the contact patches you get. Let's... I think I'm gonna use 2 horns key switch here. So I'm loading in the new contact player here because, well, I love French horns as much as any composer. And, you know, I just want to show you now the amazing features. So we have gone through the performance mode. Like the first patch is not only legato or sustain, it's sustain, legato, and polyphonic legato in one patch. And legato is of course triggered if you don't have a gap between the notes. Okay, and polyphonic legato. Now I cannot use the dynamic mod wheel. Let's... Oh, whoops. Accidentally triggered that. I love being able to play legato polyphonically like that. It's my favorite feature. Then you can actually go and set... so you can have monophonic true legato mode, polyphonic legato. So this yeah, now you're making it mono. So monophonic. I cannot play polyphonically now, but... I don't... Then you play just one line at a time, and then polyphonic legato. And you can set the speed independently for monophonic legato and polyphonic legato. So let's do 100%. 0. Yeah, so speed is just for the transition. And you can also control, put it in sustain mode. Why you want to do that, I'm not sure. Because why not use polyphonic legato in that case? You can choose to have... yeah, release samples, which is, you know, it sounds more natural, so probably use that as well. Release offset in milliseconds. So some features here I'm not using that much. Not the you can change the ADSR envelopes, but let's get to this. You can use the internal reverb and volume here, or turn that off, and you get not a super big reverb sound. Not sure where this was recorded, but not too long decay, so you can actually add your own reverb. Let's just add one of my favorite reverbs, which is, where do I have it? Where do I have it? Reverberate 3, and then let's use a bigger reverb, halls, large. Where do you have it? Large hall there, and let's put it at 50%. And now you can play it. I usually like to do that. Okay, I did put it too much. Like that. Okay, so this is a too big hall. Let's use a chamber instead. Like that. Large chambers. A bit like that. So that's what I prefer. Let's turn off the reverb so you can hear the natural sound again. Now let's go through some of my other favorite features. So you don't get 15, 20 microphones like some sample libraries. It's too much, to be honest, in most cases. So instead you get what you need. Close microphones. And this is, in this case, it's actually panned. I'm not sure why. Let's put it in the middle. So you can have the panning here for each microphone, plus the stereo field. Let's put that in the close mics in. So left clicking, dragging up to extend it, or down, make it mono. So let's do the close mic mono. I don't believe this is a feature that's very common, changing the stereo field per mic. Then you have the Deca mics. I mean, the normal standard microphone setting for recording orchestral instruments. Section. And you can see this is actually panned a bit left. And then the hall. So let's pan that a bit to the right, this one to the left, increase the Deca stereo field a bit, and let's put everything in action again. Just dial in the level, let's reduce the hall a bit, increase the close mics, and now you have definition from the close mono. Let's increase the hall a bit, decrease the Decas. Play that again. I'm not sure any other brass library can do this in one single articulation. One single, you know, it's the one that it's here. Sustain, legato, everything. I haven't tried a sustain pedal on this. Okay, so also the mics, the polyphonic legato. Now, this feature is also one of my favorite features in especially their choir libraries and the string library. But anyway, you can actually play polyphonically. Let me explain this. So if you play two notes like this, in fact, let me record something just very quickly. And quantize it, let's go in. So here, let me show you the velocity here. If you don't have this setting on, it just plays all of them controlled by the dynamics, of course, with the mod wheel. Now, what you can do is, let's put this to the max just to show you the difference. The velocity of each note will be influence the dynamic level, so you can use plus minus 6 decibels. So if you have a very low velocity, this note will be low, much lower, even regardless of the mod wheel position, and these ones will be louder in dynamic. So now if I play this, you hear that top leading melody line a lot more clearer because of the velocity dynamic influencer. I find this especially great on driving energetic patches like staccato, staccatissimo, so you can have the lower one being louder, bassier, or the leading top line louder, depending on the dynamics of the notes, the velocity of the notes. So now let me just finish this video by going through what you get in the performance, you know, the articulation. So you get staccato plus legato. My favorite, you can do so much. Let's do polyphonic legato. Right? Let's do the next one you get is flutter tonguing. You get marcato, of course. And next one is tenuto, which is basically softer marcato, I would call it. You get staccato, which is quite long actually when released. You cannot play really rhythmically. It's just a short marcato, basically. I like to finish phrases. Da, 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 da. You know, do staccatissimo first. Let's reduce that so I can play it easier. Right, and then finish with the staccato as the final note. Then you can do repetitions, which is very short. Very hard to play, to be honest, live. So I would probably program that in the MIDI editor. Then you get this accented sustain with a crescendo when you release the keys. Really cool. And another variant is sustain with crescendo, not accented sustain. And then you get a half tone trail. And let's see, whole tone trail. And in my opinion, it pretty much covers all the main bases for the articulations you use mostly as a composer. And remember, you get an entire category for well, let's not open that up. But as I showed you with the mutes and the stops for each of these ensembles and instruments. So basically you have infinite options. You can also even dive into the advanced features and turn on niente, which doesn't I don't use that as much on brass instruments, but that means that you can use the mod wheel and go down to 0. Let's turn on the normal articulation. Right? When I turn the mod wheel down completely, it goes to silence. That's what niente means, silence. You can do sustain notes, you can use the mapping, mod wheel, expression mapping, noise level, tuning, humanize, round robins. I wouldn't, and you can, oh, this is nice. They have a remapping. I haven't checked this out. So you can remap all the articulations for the presets if you prefer. They are here now, but let's say you want to have them further down to not accidentally trigger them. You can do that as well. So that is my review of Afflatus Brass by Stress of Sampling. I mean, Afflatus Strings is already one of my favorite string libraries that I use pretty much in every track because of these features: polyphonic legato, velocity dynamic influencer, that performance articulation patch on all instruments. And this is the second one in the series, Afflatus Brass. So I will leave a link in the description so you can check this out. I will probably use this brass library a lot in my future music compositions. I'll see you in the next video, my friends.